The grand temple of the Xiran Empire was silent, its high crystal walls glowing with a cold blue light. Hundreds of alien nobles sat inside, their scaled bodies covered with golden robes, while priests chanted in deep voices. The emperor himself, tall and crowned with jagged horns, sat upon a throne of black stone. All eyes turned to the old seer at the center of the hall. The seer was ancient, his skin pale and cracked, his thin arms trembling as he held his staff. He had served the empire for centuries, guiding kings and emperors through wars, plagues, and rebellions. Never once had his visions failed. When he spoke, even generals listened. That was why the silence broke so suddenly. The seer began to shake violently. His body convulsed, his head snapped back, and a scream tore from his throat. His eyes rolled white, and strange symbols glowed faintly across his skin. The priests rushed forward but stopped when they saw the power in his gaze. The hall froze. And then the seer screamed one word over and over, as if the universe itself forced it from his lungs. Humans, humans, humans. A ripple of confusion spread across the nobles. Some looked at one another and laughed. Humans. The primitive race from the small blue planet. Weak, fragile creatures who lived barely a century. The galaxy did not fear them. Most barely spoke of them. The emperor raised one clawed hand. What is this madness? Speak clearly, old one. The seer's voice changed, deep and unnatural, like many voices speaking at once. Do not touch Earth. Do not harm their kind. If you do, you will awaken what sleeps beneath their fragile faces. You will unleash something worse than war. You will awaken their true nature. The words echoed like thunder through the crystal walls. For a moment, there was silence. Then, mocking laughter filled the chamber. A Xiran noble sneered, "Is this the great warning? That we should fear the soft-skinned apes of Earth? They have no fleets. Their weapons are ancient fire. Their shields are nothing but metal shells. Why should the galaxy fear them?" Others joined, chuckling and muttering. A world not worth conquering. Perhaps the old seer has finally lost his mind. Humans. Ha! Even the smallest empire could crush them in days. The emperor leaned forward on his throne, his sharp teeth glinting. You speak of fear, prophet. Yet I see no power in this race. I see only weakness. If war came tomorrow, Earth would fall before a single fleet of mine. The seer dropped to his knees, clutching his chest. His voice softened, but his words carried a chilling weight. You see their weakness only because they allow you to see it. You see prey because they let you think so. But if you strike them, Emperor, if you strike them even once, you will see something else. You will see what lies beneath their kindness, beneath their laughter, beneath their fragile faces. A few generals shifted uncomfortably in their seats. They remembered stories. Old whispers from the outer rim. Battles where human mercenaries fought like creatures possessed, never stopping even when their bodies were broken. Pirates who raided Earth's colonies and never returned. Rumors of human prisoners tearing apart guards with bare hands. But the nobles only laughed louder. One leaned forward, his tongue flicking. Tell us, Seer, what lies beneath? What great secret hides in the weak ones? Do they have hidden fleets? Do they control forbidden weapons? Are they gods in disguise? The old prophet looked at him, eyes glowing faintly. No. They are worse. They are human. The hall grew cold. Even the laughter died for a moment. Something in the way the word was spoken carried weight, as if the universe itself trembled at its meaning. But then the emperor rose, raising his arms. Enough. I will not waste time with riddles of fear. Earth is nothing. Its people are nothing. If they stand before the Xiran Empire, they will bow, or they will burn. The crowd cheered, clapping their claws and tails. The sound shook the temple walls. Only the generals remained silent, their eyes narrow, their thoughts uneasy. As the emperor turned and left the hall, the seer collapsed to the floor. Priests rushed to catch him, but his last whisper carried through the silence like a dying wind. They will not bow. They will not burn. They will awaken. Far away, on the edges of the Orion Arm, alien fleets drifted in silence, watching Earth. They called it the weakest world, unshielded and unprotected. But year after year, century after century, no one invaded. Armadas that once planned to strike suddenly changed course. Empires that had crushed hundreds of worlds avoided the small blue planet. And so the question spread in hushed voices, across ships and councils and thrones. Why is Earth untouched? Was it because of humans' fragility or because of something hidden behind their smiles? The seer's warning would not be forgotten. Not yet. The Zyran throne hall glittered with silver fire. Tall pillars rose like spears, holding up a ceiling painted with victories of the Empire, wars won, species enslaved, planets burned. At the center sat Emperor Kala, his golden crown shaped like the talons of a predator. Before him, the old seer still trembled on the floor, his voice echoing in the air like a curse. Humans, do not touch them, or the stars will bleed. Kala rose from his throne, his cloak dragging across the floor like a shadow. He looked down at the seer with cold amusement. Humans, he said, almost laughing. The soft-skinned creatures who fight with metal shells and fire bullets. The ones whose ships are fragile, their colonies few. The court laughed with him. Generals, nobles, and priests sneered. The name human was a joke in their empire. But one alien did not laugh. General Threx, a scarred warrior who had fought across 50 campaigns, kept his eyes on the seer. The old alien was ancient, older than Kala, older than most empires still standing. His visions, though strange, had never been false. The emperor dismissed the seer with a wave of his clawed hand. Guards dragged the trembling prophet away, his warning echoing in the silence. They will not strike first, but if you do, their mask will fall. Council of debate. Later, in the war chambers, the debate continued. Maps of galaxies flickered in holograms. Red lines showed supply routes. Blue dots showed human colonies, tiny, scattered, weak. General Voka, young and arrogant, slammed his fist on the table. The humans are nothing. Their armies are small, their fleets pathetic. We can take Earth in a single strike. Why should we fear myths from a dying old fool? Threx answered slowly, his voice rough like broken stone. Because I have seen humans fight. The chamber fell silent. Many turned to him. Threx continued, not long ago, I commanded a raid near their colonies. We thought it would be simple. Their defenses were weak. But when we attacked, their soldiers, they did not run. They bled, they screamed, but they fought with madness. One human detonated his own ship rather than let us take it. Another charged my squad with only a blade when he had no gun left. He died, yes, but 3 of my warriors died with him. The room shifted uncomfortably. They are not like others, Threx said. They don't fear death the way we do. They use it. Voka spat in disgust. Stories to frighten children. He looked to the emperor. If we crush them now, no one will ever question our strength again. Shadows of fear. Kala sat silently on his throne of iron and bone, listening. He was ambitious, always hungering for glory. Earth was tempting an easy victory, a jewel to add to his crown. But deep in his mind, the seer's words itched like poison, you will awaken their true nature. What did that mean? To distract himself, Kala demanded reports. Spies had observed humans for decades. Their weapons were old-fashioned compared to galactic powers. Their fleets were small, their defenses laughable. And yet, no empire had ever truly tried to conquer them. Some raiders attacked their colonies, yes, but large invasions always ended strangely. Records were filled with unexplained retreats, catastrophic losses, mysterious disappearances. It was as if something unseen protected humans, or something in humans themselves was too dangerous to provoke. The plan. Finally, Kala rose and spread his wings, the decision burning in his eyes. We will not strike Earth yet, he said. But we will test them. Gasps filled the room. What do you mean, my emperor? Asked General Voka. Kala smiled cruelly. We will not invade their homeworld directly. Instead, we strike one of their colonies at the edge of their space. A small one. If the humans respond weakly, we know the seer's words are nothing but smoke. But if they reveal this so-called true nature, his voice grew sharp. Then we will learn what they are hiding. The chamber buzzed with approval. The Emperor's plan seemed wise, safe, cautious. But in Threx's chest, unease grew heavier. He remembered the human's eyes during battle. Eyes that glowed with something not even the Zyran Empire could claim. Not hatred. Not madness. Something deeper. Something waiting to be unleashed. The first spark. Across the galaxy, whispers began. The Zyran Empire was preparing a strike against humans. Many alien races laughed, eager to see humans crushed. Others stayed silent, remembering their own skirmishes with Earth, fights that had ended strangely, with losses that couldn't be explained. On the human side, the colonies lived in fragile peace, unaware of the storm forming above. Children played in domes under red suns. Farmers worked alien soil, building lives far from Earth. Soldiers stood guard, bored and half asleep. But far away, in the temple where the seer was locked in chains, the old alien began to shake again. His eyes rolled back. His voice became a whisper of dread. They are coming. And soon, the galaxy will learn why no one dares strike Earth. The galaxy began to whisper. Whispers that turned into fear. The Zyran Emperor had ignored the seer's warning. His fleets, however, did not move toward Earth. Even the most ruthless warlords, creatures who had burned suns and crushed entire civilizations, hesitated when the name human was spoken. In the trade halls of the galactic core, merchants mocked Earth openly. They are weak. They have no shields, no great fleets, no energy weapons. Why not take them? Yet those same merchants never sent a single ship near the blue planet. It was not law stopping them. It was not treaties. It was silence. A strange, heavy silence that wrapped Earth like an invisible shield. On the orbital stations of the Ular Dominion, young cadets trained for war. One cadet, a bold reptilian, raised a question in front of his commander. "Sir, why do we never strike Earth? Why do we let them live?" The commander froze. He stared at the cadet for a long time, then slowly replied. "Because the cost of victory would be too high." The cadet tilted his head. "But humans have no great weapons. Their fleets are old metal. Their missiles are small. What cost could they force on us?" The commander whispered as if afraid the walls might listen. "They have, themselves. That is enough." The cadet laughed, but unease grew inside him. The way the commander spoke felt less like explanation and more like confession. Across the galaxy, ancient archives were searched. A group of alien scholars studied old war records. They found something strange. Entire fleets had vanished when they entered the Sol system. Scouts had sent messages of strange encounters before their signals cut off. Survivors, if there were any, never returned to tell their story. One scholar, an insectoid with thin silver arms, whispered to her peers. "This is why the seer screamed. He did not see warships or weapons. He saw humans themselves. Something about them is hidden, something the galaxy does not speak aloud." Another scholar argued. "Or perhaps it is fear of the unknown. Myths grow when truth is missing." But in the quiet of the archives, surrounded by records that ended in silence, their arguments felt weak. Meanwhile, Earth itself carried on as if nothing happened. Humans worked, laughed, fought, and dreamed. They had no idea that hundreds of alien eyes were watching them from a distance, too afraid to come closer. A counselor from the Veyrak species watched human broadcasts stolen through secret channels. He saw their wars, their chaos, their cruelty, but also their strange kindness. He whispered to himself. They fight like demons against each other, yet they also heal, build, and rise again. If they are this fierce against themselves, what would they do against us? The thought chilled him. The Zyran seer who had screamed in the Emperor's court was kept under guard. He did not speak for many days. He simply sat in silence, rocking back and forth, as if listening to voices only he could hear. Then one night, under the pale light of the twin moons, he whispered again. The guards leaned closer, straining to hear. "They will not start the war," the seer said. "You will." The guards exchanged nervous looks. The seer's eyes glowed faintly white. His voice grew stronger. "And when you do, they will become what they were always meant to be." Rumors spread. A Dracorian admiral cancelled his campaign against Earth after dreaming of fire. A Korath trader swore he saw a human ship appear in deep space and vanish without engines. An old tale resurfaced of a single human marine who had once boarded an alien dreadnought and slaughtered everyone inside. Were these lies? Were these truths? The galaxy could not decide. But still, no one dared attack. In the Zyran throne room, generals argued again. We should strike now. Before humans grow stronger. Before the myths make them untouchable. Another general slammed his staff. Strike. Against what? They have nothing. And yet every record shows fleets disappearing. Do you want to be the next fleet that vanishes into silence? The Emperor sat quietly, eyes narrowing. His pride told him humans were nothing. But deep inside, doubt grew. The Seer's screams haunted his nights. Finally, the Emperor whispered to himself. If they are truly nothing, then why does the galaxy tremble at their name? Far away, on Earth itself, a storm brewed over the Pacific Ocean. Satellites captured strange signals bouncing from deep beneath the waves, patterns not of natural origin. Unseen by the galaxy, something old stirred in the darkness of the ocean floor. Something that had been waiting. Something that knew the Seer was right. The stars were quiet that night in the Orion Arm, but the silence was broken by the arrival of war. The Dracari fleet, known for their cruelty, launched their attack on Earth. They had ignored the Seer's warning. They thought the old prophet was only spreading fear. The Dracari ships, black and sharp like blades, moved across the void, entering the Sol system with fire in their engines. From their command ship, General Vayner grinned. At last, the weak ones are ours. We will burn their world and show the galaxy that humans are nothing. The fleet spread out, surrounding Earth's orbit. Weapons charged. Targeting systems locked. Their plan was simple: destroy Earth's satellites, cut its defenses, and rain fire on its cities. But something strange happened. The moment the first Dracari missile launched, the skies of Earth seemed to wake. Silent stations that had appeared dead suddenly powered on. Satellites blinked with hidden lights. Deep within the oceans, massive signals stirred. Buried machines, long hidden, hummed to life. Earth had been waiting. The first missile was destroyed in midspace, not by human hands, but by an unknown defense grid. Red beams of light, faster than the Dracari had ever seen, cut through their weapons. One by one, their missiles vanished. On Earth, people looked to the skies with fear and wonder. Ordinary humans did not know what was happening, but their governments had been prepared. For decades, Earth's leaders had hidden their greatest weapons, not to show power, but to make the galaxy underestimate them. Now, the Dracari knew the truth: Earth was not weak. Earth was patient. General Vayner roared in anger. Forward. Full attack. The Dracari ships rained plasma fire on the planet, but their beams were intercepted. Giant structures rose from the oceans, colossal human war machines, hidden beneath the waves for generations. They looked like towers of steel and lightning, and when they fired, entire Dracari ships exploded in seconds. Still, the Dracari fought hard. Their claws gripped victory tightly. Thousands of ships charged. They believed numbers would crush humans. Then humanity revealed its second secret. From Earth's moon, hidden bases opened. What looked like lifeless craters shifted apart, revealing launch silos. Hundreds of human ships, sleek, black, and built for war, shot out into space. The galaxy had always laughed at humanity's small fleet. They thought Earth had only a handful of outdated ships. But those were only the ships humans allowed others to see. The true fleet had been hidden in silence, waiting for this very moment. The battle turned fierce. Dracari ships clashed with human warcraft above Earth's skies. Explosions filled the void, fire and debris raining down into the atmosphere. The humans fought like no other species. They did not retreat. They did not beg. Every pilot fought as if defending not just their planet, but every child, every dream, every future of mankind. Alien watchers from across the galaxy tuned in to the signals. They expected to see Earth fall. Instead, they saw the Dracari fleet burning. They saw humans fighting like storms given flesh. And the seer's words returned, "If you harm Earth, you will awaken their true nature." But even then, the galaxy had not seen the full truth. In the middle of the battle, when the Drakari seemed to rally once more, Earth made its final move. Deep under Antarctica, something old stirred. A massive gateway opened, and out came weapons the galaxy had never witnessed, ships powered by strange energy, not plasma, not fusion, but something darker, older, and far stronger. These were the silent engines, technologies born from secrets hidden on Earth since ancient times. Rumors whispered that humanity had not built them alone, but found them buried relics, left by unknown visitors long ago. The Drakari could not stand against them. Within hours, their fleet was reduced to wreckage. Ships that had once enslaved entire worlds now burned as scraps around Earth. General Vaner's command ship was pierced by a single beam from the silent engines, torn apart without mercy. The invasion ended in fire. But victory brought no celebration. On Earth, leaders stood in silence. They knew what had just been revealed. The galaxy had watched everything. The secret was gone. The humans had been exposed. Across the stars, alien leaders trembled. The seer's warning was not a myth. It was real. The humans were not weak prey, they were something far more dangerous. And now the question that haunted every empire echoed louder than ever. The invasion began at dawn. Earth's skies filled with fire as the Zyran Empire unleashed its war fleet. Thousands of alien ships cut through the atmosphere, their black hulls glowing with plasma energy. Cities across the planet shook as the first waves of bombardment struck power grids, military bases, and communication hubs. Humans had been warned. Satellites had picked up the fleet days earlier. Governments had called for calm, but deep down, leaders knew this was war. In Washington, London, Beijing, Moscow, and dozens of capitals, military commanders gave the same order: activate Project Sentinel. At first, the world seemed powerless. Zyran troops descended, their armor indestructible, their weapons far beyond human technology. New York burned. London's skies turned red. Billions across the world watched in terror as news feeds showed alien soldiers tearing through defenses. The Galactic Council observed the invasion through deep space relays. Many laughed. "The seer was wrong," sneered one counselor. "Humans are falling like insects." But then, the tide shifted. In the deserts of Nevada, massive underground doors groaned open. Out rolled machines the size of skyscrapers, towering human war mechs, each armed with rail cannons that fired tungsten slugs at hypersonic speed. They had been hidden for decades, built in secret under a coalition of nations that refused to stay weak. In orbit, alien fleets targeted them. Plasma blasts lit the sky. But then the Zyrans saw something shocking. From behind the moon, human ships emerged. Not crude rockets. Not fragile satellites. But massive carriers, black and silent, their hulls layered with strange shielding that deflected plasma fire. The aliens screamed. Impossible. Earth was never capable of this. The truth became clear: Earth had hidden its strength, waiting for the day it would be tested. On the battlefield of Paris, alien soldiers advanced through the ruined streets. Suddenly, the ground shook. From the catacombs beneath the city, armored human soldiers appeared, powered suits far stronger than any alien exoskeleton. One soldier, his helmet marked with a single white star, raised his plasma blade taken from a fallen alien. He shouted to his squad, "Remember what the seer said, they think we are weak. Show them what humans are." The Zyrans charged, expecting fear. Instead, they faced fury. Humans fought with a madness the galaxy had never seen. Even when wounded, even when outnumbered, they did not retreat. In orbit, the first great shock came. The human fleet unleashed weapons the galaxy had never witnessed: dark energy warheads. Unlike normal missiles, these weapons bent space itself. Alien ships tore apart not from explosions, but from reality ripping open around them. Council members watching from afar went silent. One whispered, This should not be possible. No world has mastered that technology. But humans had. They had learned to hide. They had waited. And now, they revealed their power. Yet the greatest horror was not the weapons. It was the human spirit. Zyran commanders reported the same thing. Humans fought like no other species. They refused to surrender. They fought in burning ruins, underwater, even inside collapsing buildings. If one fell, another rose. If a city was destroyed, survivors formed militias overnight. One alien captain sent a message to his emperor. They do not fight for conquest. They fight for survival. They fight as if every breath is sacred. I fear them more than any weapon. The seer's warning echoed in the minds of those who remembered, if you harm Earth, you will awaken their true nature. And now, the galaxy saw what that meant. Humans were no longer the weak prey. They were hunters, forged in desperation, born in wars of their own making. No alien empire had ever faced an enemy that turned pain into fuel, that transformed loss into unbreakable strength. The Zyran fleet, once proud and unstoppable, began to crumble. Flagships exploded. Troops were overrun. Their commanders, once arrogant, sent desperate pleas for reinforcements. But reinforcements would not save them. Because Earth was awake. In the ruins of New York, a Zyran general faced capture. Human soldiers surrounded him. He stared at them, expecting cruelty. Instead, he saw eyes burning with something else, not hatred, not simple rage, but a terrifying determination. The general whispered, almost to himself. The seer was right, we should have never come here. A human officer stepped forward and answered in a cold voice. Now you understand. The Galactic Council watched the slaughter in silence. Worlds that had mocked Earth now trembled. Empires that had laughed now whispered. For the seer's vision had come true, humans had been underestimated. And now the galaxy realized the worst truth of all. If provoked, humanity was not just dangerous. It was unstoppable. The galaxy had always believed humans were fragile. Small, breakable, a species born from dirt and storms. Yet now, as the great empires trembled, the truth became impossible to deny. Humanity was awake. The Zyran Emperor sat in his throne room, pale light flooding through crystal windows. His council was silent. News reports streamed from every direction. Fleets destroyed. Worlds abandoned. Human ships cutting through space like knives through silk. They were supposed to be weak, whispered one minister. His voice shook. How are they doing this? The emperor clenched his claws against the throne. Because we woke them up. Far across the stars, human commanders gathered in hidden stations that had long been ignored. They did not cheer. They did not boast. They were cold, calm, and efficient. The prophecy of the seer was coming true word for word. The galaxy had touched Earth, and Earth had answered. On the burned fields of the Zorath world Vena, alien soldiers stumbled through the ruins of their capital. Towers cracked and fell into dust. Smoke covered the red sky. In the silence, a voice echoed through hidden speakers, translated into every language. We asked for peace. You chose war. Now you will see what peace has cost us. It was a human voice. Low. Controlled. Almost sorrowful. But behind that tone was steel. The alien soldiers froze. They had never heard an enemy speak like this, not rage, not cruelty. Something worse. A quiet certainty that chilled their blood. The seer, now old and weak, sat in his temple, his visions returning in violent flashes. His attendants tried to calm him, but he screamed as if fire burned in his veins. I warned you, he cried. You saw them as prey, but you did not see their chains. They broke them. And now the storm will not stop. He collapsed, trembling, whispering the same words over and over. The storm will not stop. The storm will not stop. The Galactic Council called an emergency assembly. For the first time in centuries, every empire attended. Leaders shouted, argued, and begged for plans. But no one had answers. They are not fighting like us, one commander said. They do not care about conquest. They do not care about thrones. They are dismantling us piece by piece. They fight as if survival is carved into their blood. Another counselor slammed the table. It is vengeance. Nothing more. But the human ambassador, sitting quietly at the end of the chamber, stood. The hall fell into silence. His eyes were dark, his uniform simple, yet his voice carried like thunder. "You should not have laughed at the warning," he said. "We wanted to live quietly. But you made us remember what we are capable of. We are not vengeance. We are what comes after vengeance." And then he left, the echo of his footsteps louder than any battle. In hidden files of alien archives, a truth began to surface. Long ago, before humans reached the stars, small probes had already been sent out. Not from empires. Not from councils. From Earth itself. Quiet, unarmed, but filled with data, watching, learning. For centuries, humanity had prepared. Not for war. For survival. They had mapped weaknesses of alien fleets, their politics, their strategies. Every insult, every dismissal, every laugh, they remembered. Now those plans were alive. The war was not endless. It did not need to be. Within weeks, alien fleets retreated. Entire star systems surrendered without a shot. The galaxy that once mocked Earth now bowed in silence. But humans did not claim thrones. They did not raise flags over conquered worlds. Instead, they left a single warning carved into the Council's Great Hall. "We do not seek to rule. We seek to be left alone. Remember that before you wake the storm again." The seer died quietly in his temple, his last breath carrying one final whisper. "They are not the monsters you feared. They are worse. They are survivors." And with that, his body turned still, his eyes closed forever. In the years that followed, no empire dared to touch Earth again. Fleets sailed wide around the blue planet. Rumors spread in hushed voices, told to young cadets and future leaders. Do not provoke them. Do not test them. Do not awaken what sleeps. And though humanity returned to its quiet world, the galaxy knew the truth. The warning had come true in the worst way. For humans were no longer seen as prey. They were seen as the storm.